Max Gorlin, Melbourne Football Club. You're listening to the Coaches Panel.
This is Nat Fyfe from the Fremantle Footy Club.
Trent Cotchin from the Richmond Footy Club.
Scott Pendlebury from the Collingwood Football Club. You're listening to the Coaches Panel.
Patrick Cooch from the Carlton Footy Club.
It's Rory Sloane here from the Adelaide Crows.
This is Tom Mitchell from the Hawthorn Footy Club, and you're listening to the Coaches Panel.
Hey everyone, it's MJ from the Coaches Panel. I hope you're well. Welcome back to another episode. There's heaps of stuff happening in your footy world, because let's be honest, footy's already here. The Amy Community Series is underway, and one of the things we love to do whenever we can is get some of the players that are actually playing football, not just fantasy football, but actually playing it to help you with your fantasy footy side. Joining us on this episode, a guy that saved our bacon last year countless times. I'm talking about Chris Burgess of the Gold Coast Suns. Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Do you realise how much you got coaches out of jail last year? When Jared Witts went down, you went into the ruck. You saved a lot of people's fantasy seasons last year. Do you realise just how good you were, mate?
No, I did not actually know that I saved a few people. But that's good to hear.
Well, you know, that's what you're here to do, right? I know you're trying to help the Suns get some games and make finals, but at the end of the day, if you can pump out a ton in AFL fantasy for coaches, you know, that's helpful too, man. How's the preseason tracking for you, man? Like it now is go time, really, isn't it? Like where do you find yourself at the moment this time out just before the footy season starts?
Obviously, been training really hard this preseason and trying to crack into the team and be in that lineup for round one. Probably more as a forward than a ruck now that Witter's back, which is handy.
It's true, and I'm keen to get your take on Witter in a sec, but does the unfortunate injury that happened to Ben King in that forward line, is that kind of open up that opportunity for yourself to kind of sneak back in? Because that's originally where you came into the club, wasn't it? More as that tall forward option, centre forward of the ball.
Yeah, my first year I obviously played a lot more forward. But yeah, with Ben King going down, it's probably opened an opportunity up for a lot of boys. So there'll be a few, including myself, that are trying to go for that spot. And yeah.
Well, if it's not you, who do you reckon's likely to? Who do you need to like kind of almost attack their food and just, you know, send nothing too serious, but just to stop them from getting a game? Who are the guys competing for that spot that currently aren't locked into the side?
It all depends on how we line up this year, whether we're going a couple tools or going more of that small ball kind of thing. Got like Joel Jeffrey, Josh Corbett, myself. Then you've obviously got Luco, and then Joel, Levi Casbolt. We're all probably vying off for spots in the team, and then Sam Day's not too far away as well. So there's a large group of us, which is really good because it means pushes us at training and it will help us all improve, really. So it's good when you've got a healthy list and a lot of blokes fighting for that spot.
Yeah, it's a really helpful sign. There is one guy currently in your rehab group that fantasy coaches have kind of kept an eye on, had a really great start to last year, got injured, and we didn't see much off the back end of the year. Is Bows or Bose, or however you like to choose to go with your pronunciation of that. He's currently out injured at the moment. Do you know how far off he is? And are we going to see him more in a couple of months, in a couple of weeks?
I'm not sure exactly how far off he is. But yeah, I've seen him obviously around the club, and he's been working on strengthening his shoulder and doing his rehab. But yeah, when he comes back, he'll be ready to go for sure.
Yeah, look, Jack's an incredible human being, let alone a very, very good footballer as well. So we certainly wish him all the best. And I'm curious about Jack, like somebody that's kind of caught fantasy coaches' eyes out of the blue. And I'm keen to get your take on if there's some fantasy players from your team that you're going to jump on board. Is Lockie Weller's kind of re-emerged as this defender, bit of run and gun player, taking the kick-ins. Has he got that role kind of stitched up for the year, or is he just holding down the fort till Jack comes back?
That's a great question. I'm not too sure, but Lockie Weller is definitely one of those players that I'll be putting in my team.
Okay.
His run off the back lines is going to be huge this year. He's probably a little bit undervalued as well from what I saw. So
that's true.
Yeah, and if he starts taking kick-ins as well, that just adds even more posies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I reckon he'd be a huge steal this year, and will probably score really highly for coaches.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, man. He's been someone we've been talking about on the podcast and through the articles of late as someone that definitely you've got to consider as a really nice sort of, not stepping stone, but sort of a mid-price guy that could break out and really be a premium this year. Everybody that follows the Gold Coast Suns, whether it's a fantasy coach or anything else, we just love Matt Rowell as a person. Was amazing that first handful of games he got back in 2020, and then injuries have not been his friend pretty much since. How's he tracking? Are we starting, internally around the club, let alone as us as fantasy coaches, are you starting to see some of the Matt you saw at the start of 2020 start to reappear now for us?
Yeah, he's been training really well, put in a lot of work in the off season. And then, he's come out in the internal trials and even that game against Port Adelaide last week. You probably saw a few more glimpses of what he can do. Internal trial, he kicked a few goals on his left, which kind of reminded me of his first couple games in his first year. So, he's tracking really well, and he's probably another one that I'll be putting in my fantasy team.
Are there any other Suns you've got locked away in your fantasy team while we're talking about your teammates? Who else? Are you going to pick yourself?
I don't know if I'll pick myself yet. I try and stay away from picking me, and even if mates ask me about if they should have me, I try and steer clear of that. But I've probably got Witter in there as well. I reckon he'll be huge this year, and he always does really good in fantasy. I said Lockie Weller, Rowley, and then Sharpie's probably another one that I'll end up putting in, I reckon.
He's had a big pre-season, hasn't he? He's looking good.
Yeah, he has. He's definitely training really well, and he fits on that wing position really well. Super fit, and just knows how to get the ball. And then if he kicks a few goals as well, that would just be a nice little cherry on top. Yeah,
no, very true. Like something we noticed last year about your boys in terms of the way they play was a very heavy possession game style. Has the game style from Stewie emerged or evolved a little bit, or is it more just a refinement of what you were delivering last year and hopefully a stronger execution? Are we in the similar ballpark of game style, or are we going to see some changes in 2022?
Definitely seeing a little bit of change. We've started to become more attacking game style, so trying to go back through the middle a lot more, and then going through that corridor and just getting better shots on goals, especially for the forwards. And then we've just been working on that connection between midfielders and forwards, and even like backs and mids. Just trying to be more attacking and get that ball inside 50 a lot more and a lot cleaner, which will definitely help the forwards a lot this year.
No, well, absolutely. And if you happen to stand yourself inside forward 50 at the moment, it sounds like you're going to appreciate some of that lace-out footy. You've got this elite young gun midfield. We talked about Matt Rowell. Noah Anderson almost gets said in the exact same breath. Like if Matt ever chooses to get married, it might be the person has to marry Noah as well. They just feel like they're forever joined at the hip. How's Noah's preseason tracked along?
Yeah, he's probably just going as good as he did last year. Like last year, he obviously showed what he could do. And then this year he's just built on that as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays even better than he did last year. I haven't really looked at him in fantasy at the moment, but that could be a good shout to have a look at Noah Anderson.
I promise we won't tell Noah.
So
we'll keep that just between us, man, which is fine. Look, probably when we talk about AFL fantasy footy this year and Gold Coast Suns, like the first guy that might come to mind outside of your good self, Chris, it is mid-forward basement price, Elijah Hollins. A little bit of an injury setback at the moment. Where's he at and how far off is he from getting back into some game time?
He's been training really well. He played in the trial match against Brisbane last week. I think he had 3 or 4 shots on goal, which was really positive. He knows how to find the ball, which is always a good thing for fantasy coaches. It's just whether or not he cracks into the team, which I'm sure he definitely can if he starts playing some really good football.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He's an elite young talent. It's more a matter of when, not if, we see Elijah play some footy in 2022. We asked our Patreons we told them we were having a chat to you today, and we asked a couple of them to say, who are the Suns players you want the inside word from Chris on? There's a couple of names before we let you go that they want to know about. The first one is Ned Moyle. It feels like he's the apprentice to Jared Witts. Had a really nice game in the scratch match last week. How far away is he from pushing Jared either to rest a little bit more forward or eventually put the big man out and let Ned roll and dole?
Oh, that's a hard one. Jared Witts is a pretty good ruckman, so it's going to be hard for anyone to force him into into that second spot. But no, he's been training really well, and he's definitely a very tall, and he's got a great leap on him as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Witter does rest a couple games, then Ned will definitely have that crack. But it's a bit hard to push Jared Witts out of the team, I reckon, anytime soon.
Yeah, no. And what has his preseason been like? Obviously coming back off the ACL, and he was the reason that Chris' season emerged in 2021, which we all loved you for it, by the way. But didn't get to really see much of Jared the other week. How's his preseason? Is he on track for round one?
From what I've heard, he's around the mark for round one. I'm pretty sure he'll be playing the Amy series game or
this weekend,
a majority of it. I'd be looking forward to see how he goes in that, and that'll give you a good representation of what he's going to bring during the year. But he's been training really well. He says he's feeling really good, and he's been running really well as well. So the fitness is all there, and then he's been training, getting the skills back, ruck contests, and in some of our internal trials, he had a good run around against Moyley. I reckon he'll be good to go. It's just whether or not or how he goes in the Geelong game.
Yeah, no, fair enough. A guy that spent a lot of time with the club in the pre-season, now it's landed himself one of the final spots on the list. I believe it's James Cheetus. I hope I've gone for the right name pronunciation on that. Good luck if I've butchered that.
You got it right.
Oh, come on, and everybody can hear it. How's he assimilating into the group, and where are we likely to see him line up if and when he does crack some games in 2022?
He's a real bubbly type of personality. Very talkative. He's always up and about, lots of energy. At the moment, he's playing in the midfield, or he did on the weekend against Brisbane for the twos. If he cracks into the team, he could probably either play that small forward role or inside mid. He's a stocky kind of fella, so he definitely gets in and under. Yeah, no,
the kid's built like a bull. So he's going to be all right for you boys if he gets in. Last two players before we let you go, man, that people want to know about. Will Powell is another. It seems like he really established himself in that back line last year. Is that same space and place we're going to see him this year?
Yeah, definitely. I reckon he'll play that halfback role or third tall kind of defender. He reads the ball really well. He's got an amazing kick on him. He knows how to find the ball. He knows how to intercept mark. Most courageous person I've ever seen on the football field.
Yeah, wow.
He's a great player. So you definitely see him around that half back line type of role.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, such a courageous human being. You're right, absolutely. And then one of your skippers in Touk Miller was one of the, if not the best fantasy player last year for so many coaches, broke out to become top-end premium, a set and forget captain every single week. We know he's going to roll through that midfield, but is the need for him to be as the everywhere man as he was last year, where he was sometimes putting that defensive pressure on deep inside defensive 50, as well as then sneaking forward to jag some goals? Is it just going to be more of the same of Touk continuing on that dominance?
Yeah, I don't think you could tell Touk not to run hard into defence and put that pressure on. I think that's just built into him. He's an absolute workhorse. As you saw last year, he would lay tackles in the D50 and then end up kicking the goal down in the forward 50. That's just Touk. And yeah, you can definitely expect pretty much the same thing this year as he gave last year. And he's probably another one that I'll definitely be looking at for my fantasy team. he just knows how to get the ball. He knows how to work really hard, and yeah, he lives and breathes the club, so he's going to give 110% every week.
Yeah, he's certainly very true. So speaking of your fantasy team, it sounds like Took's in. You're on the to be confirmed list. You've got a couple of other. Jared Witz is in there. Matty Rao might have snuck himself into the. Is there anybody else outside of the club that you're very bullish on in the league, and you go, you know what? By the time in 2 weeks' time round one gets underway, there is no way this player is in my fantasy team?
Not yet. I usually wait a little bit to see how this Amy series will go to lock in players. I like to see. I'm real analytical when it comes to my team. I like to see how everyone's going before I lock anything away. But like obviously you've got the people you usually pick every year, so they probably don't really need to name them. But yeah, I won't lock anyone in too quickly. I'll definitely wait till this weekend to see all the games.
So if we don't see you named in the community series, we know you're actually sidelining, just taking notes, ready to just you're in.
Yeah, I'll be in the grandstand taking some notes.
All right, fair enough. Hey, Chris, we really appreciate your time today, chatting us through a couple of guys that might be in your fantasy footy team, but also giving us a bit of an insight about how things are tracking at your club, man.
No, easy.